it's also a very psychological card because it messes with your mind. Well, like, okay, I can play this creature here, but what if he has Flame Burst? Then I lose all my creatures at once. So I maybe have to play with this creature more back. And then the opponent is like, yeah, okay, so you played this creature for more back? Well, good, because I didn't have a Flame Burst anyways.
Yeah, and that's also the really cool. I'm surprised to not see Blazing Salamander on this list because that's absolutely a removal card.
Calm down.
But with Blazing Salamander, you'll notice that when you look at this page, Blazing Salamander also interestingly affects positioning. Like it makes you afraid of mountains in a very subtle way without adding a lot of complexity to the board. Like we could have added a rule that said 1 out of 10 turns at random, everybody next to mountain takes damage. The mountain erupts or something like that, which would be really complex. But instead, by hiding it in the card base as an ability, it's totally it's less complicated, but we still get the same sort of interest in the board that rule would create. But as you notice here, and this is an important number, our AoE damage is always capped at 3, and that's really important.
Yes, I agree. I wanted to talk about that later also. But one thing about Flame Burst that it's important to know also that it's also damage structures. So it forces the opponent to play the derelict towers, not so much tucked out in the base somewhere like together.
Well, I mean, if you play derelict tower and they Flame Burst it, that's a win for you. So.
Not if they kill maybe 3 derelict towers and one of your minions.
Well, yeah, but that's also a thing that I tend to do when I know that I'm against a red play is to not put all my structures next to each other.
Yeah, me too. And
because of Flame Burst.
Yeah, and that's why I just wanted to mention it quickly because maybe everyone doesn't know that it's structures.
It is
because
important.
On the next card, it's Firebomb. It's 4-cost card. It says deal 4 damage to a creature or structure. The reason why it says that, I guess, is because you cannot attack face with it.
Firebomb is a less versatile Flame Burst.
Yeah, but it's 4 damage, which is what's really important. It deals with Mace Men and things like that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's another thing. Like, it generally doesn't trade well with a lot of creatures, but if you put it in the right deck, like Vicious Control, in Vicious Control, it's actually really good because you don't have to waste all your last nightmares on 4 health creatures.
Yeah, and you get more value out of killing enemy
and it stacks well with other cards.
And that's and actually it's very interesting just to decide whether you want Firebomb or Bomb Slinger, because Bomb Slinger is a 5 Faeria card for like an extra mountain that deals 4 damage to an adjacent thing when it comes into the battlefield, but it's also a 4/2.
And it doesn't deal the damage to structures.
Right. So the funny thing about it is, of course, we have Bomb Slinger and we have Firebomb, so the two go together in a cool way. This is the bomb the guy throws, a little bit of a design thing there. But also, you can choose to get the more defensive card, the more restricted card, but with extra value.
Hello. Also, the Firebomb is the reason why 5 is the golden number for health. Otherwise, it would be 4, which is a big deal. So, Firebomb, if it wasn't for Firebomb, people could play 4 health minions and get a lot of good trades, oftentimes. But Firebomb really punishes that. Unless it's a neutral card, of course, with the punishment.
Right. So Firebomb is intentionally... Well, this type of thing is we wanted 4 damage to be the danger spot for a single target, and 3 damage to be the danger spot for AoE, and 2 damage to be the danger spot for you take damage and you're punished for it. So that's how we sort of wanted to do these numbers.
Yeah.
And which also is interesting in the way we build aggro as well, but that's a whole other topic.
Yeah. So I have my little baby here, which means we have to speed this up even more. So let's go to the next card, which is Firestorm. It requires
Firestorm, great card with bargain cards. Next.
I love Firestorm.
You feel so powerful when you play it.
Yeah. Okay, so next card. Same thing, except you get a dragon.
Same thing, except for you get a dragon, so it's even better. Next.
Yeah. I just want to point out that those cards are very good. Those cards are meta-defining. People usually, in our balance testing, they stretch their threats bigger or their creatures smaller to help get over or under these sweepers. But if at lower ranks, if people don't know to do that, you're just going to get infinite value off of them. So just win games. Have fun.
Meteor, great animation. Next.
Well, Meteor is a card that I think a lot of people, or I'm not going to say a lot of people, it might just have been me, but I misunderstood the card a little bit when I read it. It says, choose a space, destroy all creatures, structures, and lands on or adjacent to that space. So I thought
Yeah,
when you
destroys
play
everything.
this, you would. I thought when you play this, you would get the option, kill everything around this tile or kill this tile. But it actually just destroys everything, so it makes it even more awesome. I have not played it myself. I played against it.
Yeah, I think the problem is that this said the or adjacent should be and adjacent.
Yeah, I wrote that in the Discord chat, but then they had a good reason for it. I don't remember it.
I remember it because I've had to work. I template all the cards because I'm the native English speaker on the team, and a communications guy. So the thing behind it was, no matter how we write this, it's going to either look really dumb because we have to say like and slash or we have to just kind of suck it up because there's two options. Either we do it the current way, or we do it say that destroy all these things that are on and adjacent to those tiles, and no creature is both on and adjacent to them. So it's really
the logic fails.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. So the current way I think is not perfect, but it gets you the idea across in technically a rules legal way, and the theme of the card Meteor makes it pretty clear how it's supposed to work. It's like why would I be choosing between a single target or a donut?
Yeah, that
I think it's
make
the
sense
only.
to me, but it makes
I think it's also the
sense.
only event that has a special animation.
Yeah.
Well,
there are some cool things, but yeah, Meteor is amazing. Fun fact: I wanted this to also originally destroy Faeria wells.
Oh,
that's
please,
just
please
too
do that.
trolly.
Because I don't need Faeria with my fatigue deck.
I mean, then I would just play 3 of these and make a bargain bin deck around it and just troll the shit out of people.
I gotta say, Meteor is one of my favorite cards, and I think it's actually another thing in the meta that's like, it's going to take people by surprise. People start, it's mono red, so it's really restrictive. It's again mass land destruction. It lets you. It doesn't screw you really because you get time to set up. And interestingly, if they're
it also destroys your own lands.
Yes, because the problem is either they're playing really defensively, in which case if you're saving up Faeria, they're probably getting more economy than you, or if they're building really aggressively, they probably have a line of lands that's going to be very hard for you to hit. You're going to have to blow up some of your own stuff. So it's a card that is not always great, but can come out of nowhere. Very few people see it coming, but it feels fair because they had to get 5 mountains and they had to be at 12 Fairies.
I've only seen Meteor used once, and that was on a stream.
I saw it used twice in that same stream, and it was. And the funny thing was, like, oh my god, he might have another Meteor. He'll lose the game if he plays it, but he might have it. And
I think that was another stream, but
people use the card. It has beaten me. Guy who is so bad at this game, one of my friends, he's terrible at the game. I was crushing him. I had Cypher out. I had Runin out. I had all these things. I had infinite stuff, all the economy. I was just rolling over him. And then I'm playing defensive, like green-red combat. Then he drops a Meteor and blows up everything. And like, I think I can't win now.
That's just so cool. Alright, so Meteor is an awesome card. You should make the cost 0 so we see it played more often. Okay. So moving on to yellow.
Players.
Soul Drain. Deal 2
Soul Drain.
damage.
Fantastic card. Can save your life. Yeah, it's a fantastic card.
Yep.
It's not as good against 1 health minions, though.
Yes, because you don't get the 2 life. You only get...
Yeah, you only get 1 life. But still, it's a great card.
Yeah, it's, I think, a very, very powerful card.
I really like how it interacts. On a design level, I love how it fits the Soul Pact and 2 damage to yourself themes. I think that's very clever. But also, I love how it interacts with the new limit of you cannot go over 20 life. Because often people feel like, I should just use it for just 2 straight damage, but I kind of want to hurt myself wait till I'm hurt. People say like, well, I'm having trouble with that, so maybe I should play some of these Soul Pacts to hurt myself in order to get stuff. And that's like really cool. And I like how the added strategy of such a simple card.
Yeah, it's in the beginning you feel a little bit reluctant maybe on using it against 1 health minion if you have not taken any damage, but then there's also good upsides about using it early, so you deny the opponent Faeria collection. So it's a very fun card, and it has a lot of different usage. And you can use it on your Plague Bearer to deal 2 damage AoE.
Yeah, it's very there's a lot of hidden depth to this card, which I like. Choking Sand is another piece of our removal suite. Soul Drain is obviously part of the. If you 2 life is where you can get killed and punished for it. With the Cypher's Wrath, but Choking Sand is our check of, like, we have all these things, like 4 life is when you're in danger for single target removal against red, 3 life you're even more danger because you also get hit by sweepers.
Yep.
Choking Sand puts a gate on the power. It said if you're at 3 attack or less, this card can kill you super efficiently, and you get to make interesting choices often, unless you're running just everything.
Choking Sand is the bane of blue.
Yeah, Choking Sand really hurts blue.
But it's good in combination with blue because you can reduce.
Also, yeah. Well, then no, because
attack.
then it becomes just a last nightmare.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. A lot of people like trying to. The funny thing about Humbling Vision is everybody tries to combo with it, and it's like, oh my god, I can Humbling Vision and then Aurora's Trick, or I can Humbling Vision and then Choking Sands. And the answer is almost always, yeah, but Humbling Vision by itself is just better.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, great removal. It is also pretty hard to properly use this removal. I found out it is actually harder than you might think. You think, oh, I can use it on so many things.
But it's so
Not
expensive.
efficiently.
Yeah,
it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, you can hit a lot of targets with it, but it's not so easy to get like okay value out of it. But you can get insane value out of it. And
it's
against Vicious Control, there are so many targets, and removing the Vicious Control minions is so important, not just because, I mean, it's okay to have a little bit of a worse value there because they deal so much damage to you if you don't deal with them.
And one of the things people forget when they're using removal spells against Harvesters is that if you kill the Harvester before their next turn, they're going to get 1 less Faeria off of it.
Yeah.
So if they have established a Bloodsinger next to a Cyclone, and Bloodsinger's like, oh, it costs 3, I don't want to spend something that costs 4 on it, and it's like, no, you turned off their Harvest. They're getting at least 1 less at the start of their next turn. It's actually even.
Mm-hmm. So Last Nightmare, great removal for big creatures and big buffed creatures.
Gatekeeper of the metagame.
Yeah.
I love Last Nightmare. If I play Magic the Gathering, I play 4 Doomblades, 4 Go for the Throat, 4 everything that destroys minions.
Yep.
Yeah, but in Magic, those also tend to be not that expensive, and this card is actually very expensive.
Yeah.
But it can remove a giant threat from the board.
Yeah.
It's so important to the meta balance because we designed this card very consciously at this cost. It actually used to have a very
I think he disagrees, Dan.
Okay, well, let me explain, baby. So the reason we did this was because I know that people liked the old version that could reduce its cost if you did like certain things.
He's seriously not getting it.
He's not. No, he's not agreeing. But the cool thing about it is...
It's a she.
Oh, sorry.
That's maybe why.
She's not getting it. All right, she's mad at you for Okay. So the problem with this card is that if you put removal too cheap, you can get punished for too many things. So basically saying if you play a card that costs much more than 6 Faeria, you can get hit by this and lose value. So this is basically saying if you try to get too greedy, like with King of Moroval or something, this card will punish you for that. So if you try to buff one card too big, if you try to do all that, it's a risk. And that makes and that really helps create a situation where the meta is much more reasonable.
Yep. So, Azarai, which is the Last Nightmare on the Dragon.
Yeah. it's the Last Nightmare
I've seen
on the
this.
Dragon.
Yeah, I think this is probably the most used dragon right now because of the yellow control style being so popular.
It's also just the best dragon.
Yeah.
I really like this dragon.
It's really strong. It's strong. It's a dragon that's strong on its own.
And it's one of the prettiest dragons also. I mean, all dragons are pretty, but this dragon is particularly pretty.
I love this art.
Placeholder, but still so cool. The thing about Azarai is that this card is, first, it's the dragon that kills other dragons, and I like that. But the other thing about it is that it's so hard to not have this be good. Flamestorm Dragon might not be good. We used to call them all Flamestorm Dragon, like Sandstorm Dragon. Garadan, Heart of the Mountain, might not be good. Orosei, Dream of the Deep, might not be good. You can come into situations where Tethra is just not good enough. But Azurai is like always good. Like you can
almost always good.